Now, the BJP-led central government has officially decided to observe 25th of June as Samvidhaan Hatya Diwas every year in order to commemorate the contribution of all those who suffered the inhuman pain caused due to the imposition of emergency by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi in 1975. The Home Minister took to his social media account and said that in 1975, the then Prime Minister had strangled the democracy by imposing emergency in the country. Indira Gandhi's government declared a state of emergency in India on 25th of June 1975. Democracy was restored only after nearly 2 years on 21st of March 1977. In 2024, it marked the 50 years of emergency. I'm going to start my conversation and Advocate Manasvi Thapar. There is already vehement disagreement that has come from the Congress after the announcement that was made just an hour ago by Amit Shah to observe 25th of June as the Samvidhan Hatya Diwas.
I think it is very interesting that BJP is still not over Indira Gandhi, Congress and emergency. And I think what is very important is after the emergency, what happened, the political events are also very important, that Indira Gandhi lost. People lost trust in Indira Gandhi. And then a new Sarkar led by great Jayaprakash Narayan ji was launched. And then a new Sarkar was born. And a first time without Congress, a Sarkar was formed. And after that, what happened? Indira Gandhi came with a thumping majority. People had forgiven Indira Gandhi for emergency. And she came out on her own victory. She was a victorious Prime Minister and she came with a great mandate and continued a great Sarkar. Had it been the case that she would not have died the death which she had, she would have continued as a very long tenured Prime Minister. But why does this BJP has to bring it back again and again on emergency? And BJP conveniently forgets the fact that she was re-elected. It was not an end of the career of Congress or Indira Gandhi. After that, people had forgiven Indira Gandhi for emergency and re-elected her. So that means that people of that particular generation had moved on out of emergency. But this particular batch of BJP politicians are still stuck with emergency. They want to bring this topic back and back while the people of this country have also moved on. It is only some bits and pieces of BJP who are still stuck into it. It's not a very major...
All right. Savio Rodriguez, BJP leader, how do you have to respond to Advocate Manasvi? We are stuck in 1975. The country is in 2024. Look forward. Why backward?
You know, I'm often very inspired by what Israel as a nation actually represent when it comes to incidents that were against their people, whether it was constitutional incidents or whether it was something like the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews lost their lives. Now, why is it important? It is not important because it was Congress that had done it at that point of time. That Congress did it is a matter of fact. But what is important for us as a nation to understand is that because of the emergency that was imposed by Indira Gandhi, the Constitution of India, the very right that gives every single one of us citizen the freedom of expression, the freedom to speech, was trampled upon. And that is the lesson that we should not forget.
Okay.
It is not, of course, people have moved on, Megha.
Okay, so but then, have done better. How far do we stretch it? Is a 2-minute observation of silence in the parliament enough? Is commemorating and observing the day as the death of democracy on the 25th of June every year is enough?
Would you say that the Holocaust Museum is wrong? That the Jews used to commemorate to remember the ghastly incidents that happened? Look at the Goa Inquisition as well. In fact, I think we should go ahead and have a museum for that. It is not to show people right or wrong. It is about a matter of the fact that the country needs to know that when you give power, unlimited power into the hands of a government or an individual, they can subvert that power. or whether you give it into a foreign power, as a couple of years ago, they will oppress you, they will depress you, as well as they will control you. And that is the whole idea, that we should not forget the emergency. Of course, the country has moved on, the country has progressed, but we should never forget that there is all probability with absolute power having something similar happening maybe in the near future.
That's a very, very interesting point made by you, Savio Rodriguez, and I'm going to touch upon it. And Jim sir, coming to you, the argument that, you know, it started off during the campaigning time of the Congress and the BJP, because the slogan that was made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi was "Ab ki baar 400 par." And with that came the criticism from the Congress, talking about what Savio said: absolute authority brings absolute devastation. And that was one example of Indira Gandhi in 1975, when she brought the emergency, when she had the absolute majority in the parliament. Therefore, an absolute free rein to run the country as she wished. And that's exactly what happened in 1975 for 2 years. And that's hammering home the point for the BJP to tell the world, to tell the country, that this is flipping the argument that Congress has put on Modi, to then remind them of what happened during the Congress rule.
All right. So this is one place where Savio's and my views converge. I strongly would argue that the imposition of emergency by Indira Gandhi was throttling of democracy. There are no two ways about it. So whether you belong to somebody in the right or the left spectrum, you have to say things for what they truly are. But that being said, having a day to commemorate the excesses of emergency and calling it Constitution Murder Day is nothing more than the Home Minister of India being petty, honestly. And this has been done only because the BJP was brought to its knees by the Congress or the opposition by harping on the Constitution being in danger. I do not suggest that the Constitution was in danger under Modi government. I do not think so now either. But that being said, the opposition was successful in hammering down the narrative that somehow under Modi's watch, the Constitution was indeed in danger. And so he had to face the humiliation of harping, getting something around 240 seats when he had been declaring emphatically that it was nothing short of 400. So,
but also, the BJP did get the maximum number of seats, the party with the maximum number of seats.
100%.
The Congress came back from oblivion, but 99 seats is it's not a big feat. It is, yes, a congratulatory message to Rahul Gandhi that, he's perhaps taking the right steps, moving ahead, but the government here today is of the NDA with BJP, with the majority.
True. That's true, Megha. 99 by Congress party is the third worst performance by Congress since its inception in independent India. There is no question about it. And that has come to pass under the watch of the Gandhi family as well, if that's an extension you'd like to take. But that being said, declaring a day to be Constitution Murder Day, what is Constitution Hatya Diwas? If that is the case, what should you call that day when you had Godhra riots? What should you call that day when that girl in Hathras was raped and murdered?
Okay.
Hapless state machinery day.
Okay, fair point over there. How do you react to this, Sumit? So, the day Godhra riots happened in our country, should that also be commemorated? The day the Mumbai riots happened, the Mumbai blast that happened, and I'm not just talking about the 26/11 terrorist attack, but there have been several terrorist attacks, the train attacks that had happened in 1993, that is a very somber example of the number of people who died. So all these dates also need to have a mention to bring back memories so that people don't forget.
Meghaji, thank you for having me on your show. Look, there's a slight difference. All these incidents which Godhra or Mumbai and all were pretty unfortunate. They should have never happened. Nobody will support violence in any way whatsoever. That goes without saying. But when you talk about the emergency and this Constitution Destruction Day, what is the relevance here? They are the set of people who are going to the parliament with a Lal Kitab in their hand and saying, this is Constitution, Constitution Bachao, Constitution Bachao. They are taking the oath with Constitution in their hand and they are saying that I am the savior of the Constitution, while as my family has the history of destroying the Constitution of the country, has the tradition of putting the Constitution of the country to literally confining it to the dustbins and having complete authoritarian regime running for 21 months, almost 2 years, where you could put in jail whomever you want, wherever you could treat wherever people want. This is something which Mr. Amit Shah should have done 2 years back. I'm very sorry he did it today because, what Savio rightly said. Why do we have an India Gate today? Because we have India Gate, you want to know the people who have laid up their lives. Why did you build a police memorial in Delhi? Because you want to give respect to those policemen who paid with their lives on the line of duty. Why did you have a Kargil Shahid Diwas? Why do you have a Kargil Shahidi memorial? Why do you have these Sena memorials in every part of the India? Because these are the people who laid their life for the country. In emergency, a lot of people lost their lives, a lot of people lost their livelihoods, and a lot of people were put in jails from no mistake of this, but there was an authority leader named Mrs. Gandhi who thought, I have the power, I am entitled because I'm Nehru's daughter, I can do whatever I want. I can literally take over the India and put you all in the jail and tell you go and kiss you all goodbye. This is what the problem is. So the people who have destroyed the Constitution, who have destroyed the ethos of the democracy, who have destroyed anything and everything what India stands for, if they hold the Constitution and say, we are the protectors, they need to be called out, because as long as we have India Gate, as long as we have Holocaust Museum, as long as we have Police Memorial, and as long as we have all those Shahidi memorials in the country and in the world, the day you need to talk, because when you did this, you did not impact one particular community, one particular mohalla, or one particular state. You impacted the complete India. And what is the image you convey to the whole world? We are an authoritarian regime. I am the dictator. I call the shots. This impact had impact pan-India, across the India, tarnished the image of the country, and this impact all India. There is no incident in the history where complete India and all the Indians, nationally, internationally, 1.4 billion or whatever the population was that time, were impacted by one decision of a person who thought, I'm above the law, I am the dictator, I can do whatever I want to do.
So
that
then,
is why this is different.
Advocate Manasvi, if you make a comparison that for those entirety of 2 years, India was, no better than in Iraq or in Iran with the authoritarian rule, or for that matter Pakistan, where the ISI and the Pakistani generals rule with an iron fist.
So I see there is an understanding that what happened in emergency is wrong. There's no one who's saying that we should celebrate emergency, but this kind of negative narrative which has been set by the BJP, Atalji did not feel that emergency needs to be celebrated. Atalji did not feel that we should remember emergency, because emergency in India was considered to be a dark phase of Indian constitution, Indian government. And what happened after that with Indira Gandhi? She lost from Raj Narayan. That is the reality. And after that, she came up with a thumping majority. That is also an art of Indian constitution and Indian politics. So what are we remembering? We are selectively remembering an incident which is a black day in India. Everyone knows about it. But the point here, what comes to my mind is that what will happen after this? BJP is not going to be in power for time immemorable. BJP is going to come out of power. So this is going to be a negative kind of politics which has just erupted right now. So this... Let me complete, Megha. Since these people were holding constitution, you wanted to give them back. So you said, let's celebrate emergency of Indira Gandhi and let's try to create a negative impression of Congress. So now what will happen? For example, Congress comes in power sometime later. What will they do? They'll try to celebrate Godhra riots. They'll try to celebrate whatever happened wrong in the BJP government. That's not how a progressive country with the largest democracy of this country with progress. You have to let bygones should be bygones. You should not remember it. Something which resulted, the action was immediate. If you want to celebrate someone, you should celebrate Jayaprakash
But I'm saying which democracy of the world has ever seen that a country was under emergency for 2 years?
So you have to, so the idea is, it's there in the history books, it's there in the minds of the people. You are going to, this is going to be the darkest day of Indian constitution, Indian nationalism, Indian politics, that's there. But why do you want to circle it that this is also an important day in our Indian politics? So what will happen tomorrow is, someone who's not from BJP will come in power, will also circle Godhra riots and say this is also important. So now selective negative attitude in politics is also erupting up. So that's problematic.
Okay.
Yes,
Sumit,
that day you
Sumit,
can't
you
turn
want to
around.
make a point?
No one is whitewashing it.
Okay.
No one is covering it up.
Okay.
Meghaji, I want to make the point is very simple. Look, it is not the question of that. There's one thing. If you don't learn from the history, history tends to repeat itself. Let this go into the history and let all our kids and all our future generations know.
There in the history.
What an authoritarian leader did. What an authoritarian leader did. Because you thought, I am above law, I can do whatever I can do. And nobody is celebrating independence. Ma'am, nobody is celebrating this. You know, are you saying that India Gate is a celebration of the dead? Are you saying Holocaust Memorial is a celebration of the dead?
It's not a celebration.
No,
It is
not a celebration.
you're observing that day.
It's only observing that and giving
you are
it the right
commemorating.
place because of the quantum of damage it did across the India, across all the states, to all the Indians, to our repute, to our future generations, and the kind of image it casted of India across the world. That is something which has to be there. It is a learning for all the future leaders to come. They might be
Megha, allow me.
anywhere else. So nobody is celebrating this. So this is a wrong
Okay.
brother.
All right.
Megha,
I'll come to you, Manasvi, because let me get another panelist as well. Jim sir, how do you have to react to what Sumit has to say?
Right. So what do you name 14th of Feb? I think it was in 2019 when our brave soldiers were murdered. This despite asking for protection for close to 5-6 months. Now this was corroborated by the governor of Jammu and Kashmir. All right. And no inquiry has been made into his statements. So I consider that to have some semblance of truth. So if that is the case...
But then there has to be, you know, what is the gravity of an event? The gravity of an event that has happened versus the comparisons that you are making is what I am at this point. I'm sitting and observing and opining.
I'm sorry?
I'm saying the gravity of an event that has happened and the comparison that is being made. So when you're comparing that the country was under emergency for 2 years under a leader who was acting as a dictator of the country, there were atrocities that were meted out, persecution of people, those who were descendants, there was the media, there were politicians, there were activists who were all put behind bars simply because they decided to raise their voice against an individual who was a dictator in all practical sense. And this could be actually, you know, related and compared to what happened what happened to Indians and Indian freedom fighters under the British rule.
It can be compared 100%. That is exactly what I told you hardly 10-15 minutes ago. Savio and I converge on this. It is a dark day of democracy, no questions asked. And honestly, any other name would have been less petty. That's all I say. Murder of democracy days, nothing but being too childish. You're in power. You are still the governing party of India. You don't have to be as petty as this. That's all.
Okay.
Having
all right.
said that,
okay. Coming back to you, Savio. So we come back to the argument that, you know, let bygones be bygone by way of, you know, focusing on all the wrongdoings that have happened under the Congress era. And highlighting them is not going to achieve anything. This is just political one-upmanship that you're doing over here.
Well, I don't know about the political aspects of it because I don't want to comment on the political aspects of it. What I'm concerned about as a citizen, and not just a BJP leader, but what I'm concerned about as a citizen is a political leader who had absolute power at that point of time, subverted the constitution of India because of that absolute power, and by the virtue of it, not only political leaders, but the common citizens of India that did not agree to her political views at that point of time were victimized. In fact, coincidentally, a week ago, I met somebody who had come to Goa to see me at my home post my accident, who was from Tamil Nadu, and she was telling me about her father and how he was targeted during the emergency wherever he was posted at one point of time. So the point is, the wounds of emergency is a reality of the country that we should not forget. It is not also a point for us, as some are saying, to play petty politics. But it's not petty politics. I think it's very important for the young of today to understand that in a democracy, when absolute power comes to a political leader, that they can subvert the Constitution of India, which is supreme. That is when things for the country can go absolutely wrong. And that is when innocent people get targeted. And that's what happened in the 2 years. People were jailed.
But that's exactly the example that was that Congress was giving. If BJP, with its sloganeering of getting 400 seats, would then give absolute majority to the BJP, and there could be, I mean, they may have not said it in the words, because it is then going to be, a self goal that the Congress would have made, but that may have been a possibility if that had happened to, there could be a probability that what happened during Indira Gandhi time could be repeated. Now that's a possibility. I'm not saying that would have most definitely happened, but a possibility. Also, let's, Sumit, you want to make a point quickly before I wrap this up?
I want to make one quick point.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, Manas.
When Rahul Gandhi comes like this, this is my book, I'm swearing Constitution, me, my family, and Congress has always protected this Constitution, and you Indians are democratic because of us. Then I remind him, what did your grandmother do? Did you come and apologize for your grandmother first? Come and apologize for your grandmother first. Come and apologize for the emergency first. Then hold this Constitution and try to play your political games around it. Because if your grandmother has done this and you're not apologizing, then this is only a tamasha. This is only a show which you're doing. You again misusing the Constitution for your political gains, exactly in a different way what your grandmother did. But the tactics are different.
Okay, all right. Manasvi, yes. Quickly before I wrap this up.
I think it is just about grabbing headlines. This is nothing but narrative setting that Congress was wrong, and still they are not over. After 50 years in the politics of BJP, they still need Congress. They still need Indira Gandhi. They can't move on. The point here is something which is a dark day. It's there in the history books. It's there in internet. It is not something which has been whitewashed or told by anyone in the Congress that 75 to 77 were the greatest years of Indian democracy. It has been criticized by everyone in this country.
But the narrative setting has also been done by Rahul Gandhi. When the Congress leaders hold that, as Sumit said, it is petty one-upmanship. It is politics. But I'm sorry to say that's how politics happens across the globe, and India is no different. So you come out and hold the small tiny book of your Constitution, and you attack the Prime Minister when he bows down to the Constitution after taking oath, because I don't know, under their imagination, this is because Narendra Modi has had to forcefully bow down to the Constitution because he did not get the 400 seats, because he still was the leader with the maximum number of seats, but somehow his numbers have reduced as compared to 2019, and therefore he's somebody who's succumbing to the Constitution, is what the narrative was being played. I think that was wrong as well.
Question, you'll go back to 50 years and question Indira Gandhi's conduct. So what's about today? Why aren't you talking about 2024? Why do you have to go to 1975? Because you don't have answers to 2024. You want to set that narrative.
Okay, all right. Okay, on that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.